if you can please talk about what how to improve the chances of H-1B lottery selection and approval. So this is one question I think a lot of people must be interested in if they're watching this video
Yeah, a
right
lot
now,
of
just
people
watching
are
the show
interested
right
in it, but there are, that's true, Rajni. I mean, why
now.
wouldn't anyone be interested if there was a magic formula to improve your chances of getting selected? But
Yes.
um, yes, everybody would implement it, and I would become a millionaire, I think, if I could answer this question. But unfortunately, there is no answer to that question. There is no way
Okay.
of, I mean, honestly, there's no way of improving your chances. It is luck. People have been
Okay.
trying to improve their chances by filing multiple registrations, but that is not going to work. And also, it damages the system. The integrity of the whole H-1B registration system is damaged by, one person filing hundreds of registrations. So even if they don't come up with a fix, which I'm hoping they will, by using the passport as the identifier rather than the registration itself. Um,
Mhm.
I think it's not a good idea to file multiple registrations, because you have to remember that there is a law which says that yes, you can file multiple registrations, but you have to show that there is a valid job offer for each of the registrations that you're filing. So if you're filing as a beneficiary 10 registrations, even though it's through 10 different companies and completely unrelated and they don't know each other and they are not conspiring to increase your chances by conspiring together to file it for you,
Mhm.
you still have to, as a beneficiary, show that you have a valid job offer for each
Mhm.
of those registrations that you're filing. So while that will increase your chances of getting approved, it might decrease your chances of actually getting the H-1B approved, or it might cause issues to your status. So you have to be careful. If there is a valid job offer, go ahead and do it. There is
Okay.
no issue with that. But you have to be able to prove that at some point of time if USCIS is asking for it. Other than that,
Mhm.
Rajni, it's just a game of luck, because it's a lottery, right? Of course, you
Mhm.
can improve your chances by filing it properly, because if you don't file it properly, you don't have any chances, because the entire
Yeah.
case gets rejected. And I did point out some things, do's and don'ts, with reference to registrations.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
reference to improving your chances to get a H-1 approval, that is now a real question. And there are several ways of doing that. And I would suggest that you use an
Mhm.
attorney who has experience in filing a H-1 to improve your chances. Because if you were to file a H-1 and if it were rejected and it were to come back because you didn't file it to the right service center, you didn't mark the columns properly, you didn't sign, you didn't put the proper check, you didn't write the check properly, or you put the wrong fee. All these are reasons for the case to get rejected. And if it gets rejected, after the filing time, which is 90 days, then again, you're left with no options. You cannot file your H-1 for that year. You'll have to go through the registration process again next year and file it. Now, it could be
Mhm.
that your H-1 is accepted, but you might get an RFE that would decrease the chances of approval. And you might ultimately
Mhm.
get a denial if the H-1 is not filed properly. So yes, you can increase your chances of getting a H-1B approval by, number one, making sure at the time of registration itself, and this is what we do, we review cases at the time of registration itself to make sure. For example, I'll give you an example. If you file a registration
Mhm.
under a master's cap, but you don't
Mhm.
qualify under master's cap and you did not review it properly to see whether you qualify or not, you cannot ultimately
Mhm.
file your H-1 after that, even if you get selected in the registration. So again, you've wasted your registration and you will get a denial on your H-1. So this
Mhm.
is just one example, and there are several like this where review is required before you even do the registration, and of course before you file the H-1. You have to make sure
Mhm.
before you file the H-1 that you're filing it for the correct occupation. We talked about specialty occupation just now. You have to make sure that your
Yeah.
job is a specialty occupation. Not every job is a specialty occupation. So sometimes you have a way of fixing this, because it's possible that you as an employer are flexible with reference to the job titles used. right?
Mhm.
So sometimes
Mhm.
using the wrong job title could be a problem. Um,
Mm.
so there are many other nuances that we can't talk about in these few minutes that we have. But
Mhm.
I would suggest either using someone who really has experience in filing H1s, or use an attorney who has experience in filing H1s in order to improve your chances of making it getting a H1B cap approval.
Mhm. Okay, but Attorney Prashanti, I would like to know from you. So, as you mentioned, what people do is they fill out, 100 registration forms. So, does that help? I'm filling out
Yeah, it
100
will
forms
help
rather than,
because, well, in the
yeah.
present scenario, as I said, we discussed this. In the present scenario, it might help
Mm-hmm.
because you get more picks at the registration, right? So you have 100 chances of getting picked rather than one. It's a
Mm-hmm.
lottery, right? But after you
Yeah.
file it, if you're not able to show that you have a valid job offer for those
Mm-hmm.
registrations, and if USCIS were to ask that, then they're going to deny the H1 outright, and they'll give you problem at the consulate, so when you're going to get a visa. So all these things will happen. So my suggestion is, though it's possible at this point, they might change it, but at this point,
Mm-hmm.
though it's possible, I suggest not to do that unless you have a valid job offer for each of the registrations that you're filing.
Okay. Okay.